welcome to my final briefing as council president. So thanks for joining me over the course of the year. It's been an interesting week. As you know, last week we passed the landlord tenant law. This week the Health and Human Services Committee will be taking up the minimum wage bill. I have asked the Office of Legislative Oversight to conduct an economic impact analysis of that bill, looking at how it would affect employers in Montgomery County. We haven't gotten any information on that so far, and so we'll see how that goes. And a big thing this week is transition. Roger Berliner will take over as president tomorrow. And so I'm sure it will be a very successful year under him. We have prepared a list of our achievements over the past year that Judy can pass out here, so you have it. But you know, as you will recall, this has really been a year all about education. I feel really good about that. We've passed an education first budget. We've passed a subdivision staging policy that also prioritizes education in terms of tightening school tests and increasing school impact fees, and I think that's a very important statement for Montgomery County. The other thing that I'm really excited about is that we have finally launched the new privatized Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation. That has been in the works for some time. We welcomed their new executive director last week, got a quick briefing on his first, 90 days in the job. And I think it's really important that we have the business community taking the reins of our economic development initiatives. That's been something that this council and I have been focused on for a very long time. And it is really terrific to see that finally taking shape. There's a long list of things that we've done, and I'm happy to answer any questions about them all. You've observed our work over the course of the year, so there are no real surprises there. But we're moving the county forward. We've made a lot of hard decisions this year, but I think the county is in a very good place right now, and I'm sure that it will continue to have a very good future as we move forward.
Nancy, the minimum wage bill discussion that's on Wednesday, the committee, is that a morning afternoon meeting?
I believe it's in the morning.
9:30.
9:30? Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you at on that bill? Where do you stand?
Well, I'm interested in it. Of course, this is a national platform question. The real issue, though, is how this fits in with the region. Last time we looked at this, we were working in concert with Prince George's County, so we had more of a team effort there. That is not the case right now, and so I'll be interested in how the committee handles that. But we also had some economic analysis the last time we did the minimum wage legislation. We don't have that now, and the new minimum wage has just started to take effect. So we don't know the implications of that as well. But our information when we passed this the first time was that there would be not that many employers affected by it because most Montgomery County businesses were paying folks higher than the federal minimum wage. At this point now, we don't know what the implications for a $15 an hour minimum wage look like. It's just starting to be addressed across the country. I don't think there's any place where it's actually in effect. And again, I have not gotten into the details yet, but from the information that I have is that we just don't have much data on this. I'm not sure there is any, but I'd like to make sure that the council goes forward with all eyes open.
Do you know when that OLO report will be prepared and submitted?
It's not going to be tomorrow. It'll take a while for them to figure things out. So we'll see if we can get that done in a period of time that will satisfy the council's schedule.
What are you hearing from businesses and chambers on this?
Not a lot. Of course, it's just surfaced in front of the committee now, so we'll see what the concerns are. Certainly, when we had the public hearing some time ago, there were plenty of concerns, and of course, the advocates were very enthusiastic about it. There have been rallies, that's for sure from advocates. The national election has sort of put the damper on some of the expectations that there would be some kind of national minimum wage refocusing, and so we'll see how that turns out. Makes it a lot harder when you're isolated jurisdictions trying to do the right thing.
Will you wait on that OLO legislation before a full vote is called?
Well, I don't know. I'm
so-
not going to be in charge of the
Yeah.
agenda. I would hope that the council will want to worry about that. There's no particular rush at this time, and I'm not sure there are any easy answers because none of this, it's all based on extrapolations and assumptions about what the economy might look like in some years hence. So it's very difficult to say.
Any follow-up with DHCA after the inspection of the flat branch under number 9, 860 violations?
The number of at this point, I can't comment on the status of those. You'd have to ask DHCA about that.
Well, have you spoken with anyone at DHCA about
No.
the most recent inspection?
No.
And you mentioned the tenant bill. When can people who are living in these type of lower-end housing communities expect a type of change in enforcement of housing code violations?
Well, we were introducing appropriation tomorrow to add, I think it's near $900,000 plus dollars to DHCA's budget to get them going on this. So I would expect that would be approved this month, and that would allow them to get going on enhancing their inspection work generally.
What does it say that the triennial inspections from 2016 looks the same from 2013, speaking about flower branches inspection?
I'm sorry?
What does it say that the triennial inspection from DHCA from 2016 looks a lot like the triennial inspection from 2013 flower branch? That there hasn't been much change that apartment community even after the fire?
It's interesting. Part of the question, the questions to be asked involved, are these health and safety violations? Or are they, paint problems? And that's what's the most important, making sure that we're on top of the serious issues. Again, I don't know what the breakdown is in that.
Have you looked at the violations?
I haven't seen the report.
What are your thoughts on the legal challenge to the council's pesticide bill? It hasn't gone into effect. The general ban on private homes hasn't gone into effect, but do you have any thoughts about it? Do you think it's a significant risk to the...
Well, we don't do anything without a legal confirmation that we have the authority to do it. So people are entitled to take issue with what we legislate, but I'm confident that any lawsuit will be unsuccessful.
Even given the Attorney General Office's opinions on that? I mean, it differed from what the council received.
Well, the courts will obviously decide it, but at the end of the day, to the extent that we feel that we have strong legal authority to implement these things for health purposes, I'm confident that we will be successful. I can appreciate that some businesses don't want to change their ways, but there are plenty of other businesses in line to undertake those same initiatives using pesticide-free materials. It's been demonstrated to be achievable. So if I were them, I'd not waste my money on lawyers. I'd put my money into bringing Montgomery County cleaner materials. And I'm a lawyer, so I don't like to dump on lawyers, and I'm not. But I think it's far better to change with the times. And, that's what consumers want. Consumers want to live in a safe place. And they don't want to have to be worrying about everything their pets or their children come in contact with. I mean, that's just natural. And everyone would like to have a nice green yard. But right now, if it doesn't rain for 3 months, is pretty much the way it's been all fall, you can't blame anybody for that. There are no quick fixes to some of these things.
You mentioned that keeping Marriott Bethesda is one of the highlights of your term as president. What do you make of the $11 million in the CIP for appropriations for the new Marriott headquarters in downtown Bethesda?
Well, that's part of our commitment to making that project happen. It's a real partnership with the state of Maryland.
What do you make of criticism that it's a tax subsidy for Marriott? That money should go to someone else.
Well, regrettably, this is a fundamental tenet of economic development these days. So these issues come up on people can say that just about everything we do. You shouldn't do this, you should do something else. But I think the council's united in cutting the deal with Marriott, and it's great to have the partnership of the state here. It's a team effort.
I think its memo noted that the funds for that was coming from the recordation tax premium. A big part of that push to raise that this year was to increase funding for education. Now it seems like we're getting into a business.
Well, it's also a decision that the ultimate expenditure of those funds will be in several years from now. It may be that we will not use that resource, but a portion of that was always for county capital improvements as well, not just schools. I've asked about that, and it's consistent with our policy split between a portion is for schools, portion is for rental assistance, and another portion is for capital investment. And this is investing in our future.
Do you have any updates on the Department of Liquor Control, and have you heard if they're about to hire a new director?
No. I don't know anything about that.
What do you think's next for that department, given the lack of support for the executive's proposal? There's no differing proposal from the council. It seems like the state legislators are putting forth the agency bill, Barclays bill, which really wouldn't change the structure of the department. It would just allow county stores to also sell liquor possibly.
All right. Well, look, this council is my personal view is the county executive's proposal was a good college try to respond to criticism about the structure of DLC. This council's view is really a show me the money view. We're mostly focused on ensuring that we have this continued revenue stream. State lawmakers seem to make fun of us for valuing a committed revenue stream. We are unrelenting in our commitment to protecting the taxpayer in all of this. I've never seen the advantage of transferring the revenue stream that taxpayers get currently from the DLC to some private company distributor. That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. And so, and no one from the legislature has ever proposed anything that made this up. They just say, oh, we'll generate it generally. But no one has taken responsibility for replacing that revenue stream. So the council remains committed to its views that, show us the money. Hasn't happened. And the county executive tried to do that with his bill. And at the end of the day, I think a general response was that it's a lot of trouble to go to under the circumstances, and really the juice wasn't worth the squeeze from our perspective. At the end of the day, it comes down to fiscal responsibility, which is where the county executive and the council are on this point.
Is there going to be any effort over the next year or two to look at possible revenue sources to replace the DLC? I mean, you guys have looked at the problems significantly, but actually coming up with proposals to replace the revenue stream?
Well, you have to talk to the people who want to do this.
what are your thoughts about the latest legal update in the Purple Line case? Looks like it's going to be headed for another extended delay until FTA and MTA can come up with whether the Metro's problems will affect the project. And what do you think about everything that's happened in that?
Well, my
project?
personal view is it was incredible that a judge could take this position because these decisions are committed to the federal government. And frankly, we never thought that the WMATA ridership issue had much to do with anything having to do with the Purple Line. Obviously, there's going to be a metro system, and going into, we're talking ridership going into the future. Ridership, you know, it increases, it decreases. And so to focus on a unique circumstance where they're having, they're focusing on maintenance and they're improving the system and acting as if this one-shot deal affects the future of transit in the region is short-sighted, and if you ask me, irresponsible. It's put us in the position of looking at the potential loss of over, I think, $100 million from the federal government by delaying the record of decision here. And I think it was, that's my view. I think it was an irresponsible decision. It's caused delay for no good reason, and hopefully the change in administration will not affect how the FTA continues to look at this, but it has that potential, that's for sure.
Were you asked about minimum wage?
Only to say that it's being taken up by committee on Wednesday, and I've asked for economic analysis of the implications of that. That work has not been done yet. We'll see, and we understand that that work would take some time to get achieved. So we'll see how the timing for that can jive with the council's consideration of the bill.
Is that to say you don't think it might be passed next year opposed to the minimum wage in Montgomery County?
I don't know. It's hard to speculate right now.
Do you think it would hurt the economy?
Well, that's what I want to know.
You don't know?
Don't know.
Okay. Can I ask you about, I'm sorry I'm late, but I feel like I'm always apologizing to you.
Good.
I'm usually punctual. It's the assignment editor.
Trust me.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, at least you didn't blame it on traffic.
No, it wasn't.
An $8 million plan for the Apex building for the Purple Line. I understand it's going to be taken up.
We'll be taking it up this afternoon.
What is your take on that?
Well, the council's already committed to supporting the Apex project largely, in this case, this will facilitate the construction of the trail and the like associated with the Purple Line as part of that project. It's really complicated, but we had long ago committed to this effort, and now we're dealing with the details of how that actually gets done.
And $11 million for the Marriott. That's smooth sailing.
I would think so, yeah. I'm sorry. I don't think there'll be any, big ruckus over that. Council's been committed to this project. I talked about that earlier. We see this as critical to Montgomery County status, and frankly, we're quite delighted that the largest hotel chain in the world is staying right here where it belongs in downtown Montgomery County.
How many questions do I get?
Until you get interrupted by somebody else.
Is there any relation or coincidence to the fact that the Apex funding is being sent at the same time as the Marriott funding? I mean, that's one of the.
You have to ask the county executive people. We just take up what they send over when they send it over. I don't think, life is not as well organized as other people might think.
I'd be interested in your view in the overall downtown Bethesda development plan. Do you think that characterization is correct, that that plan is turning downtown Bethesda into the new Tyson's Corner in this area of Maryland? And do you think that those tall buildings are in character with Bethesda? The plan tallest buildings. I think there are at least 2 of them, or at least 1.
Well, it's all pretty speculative at this stage, and now I'm just speaking on my own behalf. Bethesda is really the economic engine of Montgomery County if you focus on that immediate area. And I think the challenge for the council will be how do we make sure that that objective is achieved while ensuring that the edges are protected. And there's no one particular project that's in front of us right now associated with this, apart from the Apex, which is expecting some significant height, and potentially the Marriott building. We want to make sure there's room for all that. But, it's not going to be Tyson's. Tyson's is road dependent. Tyson's is a very different kind of place. And I'm sure that depending on how you measure Tyson's, how you measure the square footage and glass and retail and all that, numbers stacked up about Bethesda is probably quite different. I'm just guessing now. I don't know what the answer is to that.
Can I follow on that?
In regard to the height of the buildings, is it true that under that plan, it would make Bethesda home to the tallest buildings in Maryland outside Baltimore? And is there sort of a height limit you think might be too much for Bethesda, or do you think that the future is skyscrapers for Bethesda?
Well, I would say, generically speaking, height is kind of relative. The tallest building, you know where the tallest building in Montgomery County is?
I probably know it, maybe not by name.
Well, where is it? Anybody know? Gaithersburg?
Oh, the tallest
Tallest building, right?
is in Gaithersburg?
No, she thinks it is. Where do you think it is?
In Montgomery County?
Yeah.
I'd guess Bethesda.
Okay. Anybody else have a guess?
Bethesda Market.
Bingo.
What is
It's
it?
Bethesda Market on Rockville Pike. And it doesn't seem that tall because it's on a hill, and the grade affects how it's perceived. Some people, I would have thought it was the NRC at the top of the hill, which is very visible. Height has to do with perspective and relationship. And frankly, if the taller the building, the more you can have a ground experience that is community-oriented, pedestrian-friendly, and all that sort of thing. And so the question is, where do you draw the line?
Right.
And I don't know that I know where the line is. I don't think, personally, I don't think it's a number so much as the design of a building. What's interesting about the Bethesda plan is they introduced some design review standards that we haven't employed before. And at the end of the day, I think that's how people react to their environment. How is it designed? Is it welcoming? Is it friendly? Most people don't know how tall buildings really are, unless that height is right up against you. Like, look across the street. It's a pretty tall courthouse right behind us. Which you're getting out and looking at.
That's not a skyscraper.
No, but it's tall, and it's close to the road, and so it's very visible. Those buildings that are stacked so that the height is farther back, do you really notice it as much? I don't know. It depends. It depends. So I'm not sure there's any simple answer to that question. How tall is too tall? They're looking at some pretty significant heights. It may not be the whole it typically is not the whole building, but there might be a tower or some portion of a building that reaches that level. And, I don't think people build buildings that they can't fill. So that's also important. Will people really need to reach those numbers to achieve an economic return that works for them and, frankly, works for our tax base? That's the question.
Council President, what do you have on tap for the next 2 years? What are going to be your priorities in the outgoing council? Give me back, you can't run for
Yeah, we have a number of lame ducks here, don't we?
Yeah.
Well, I intend to be, we have a number, I chair the Planning, Housing, and Economic Development Committee. So I will continue to be really focused on those things. Keeping an eye on how our new Economic Development Corporation evolves. And we have a number of master plans to work through, which we will be doing.
Is there something you haven't done in your term on the council that you'd like to complete in these final 2 years?
Well, I'll certainly give that some thought, but I don't have any particular project per se at this point. I don't think that you're going to see any, looking forward, I don't see any tax increases. I think we did as much as we could this year to bring home the education budget. And so I think I'll continue to look at community focus. The biggest challenge for all of us, and I think the media has this experience as well, is how do we connect with the largest number of people. And one thing I'm really proud about this past year is how much we've been able to do in terms of community outreach, community forums. Our website has just been upgraded. You can get better video streamings. It's easier for people to follow us. It's not, our challenge is getting the word out to people to do that. And that continues to be a tricky thing, I think, for everyone trying to communicate. But Mr. Greenberger deserves a lot of credit for overseeing a lot of changes in our offices. We've also hired to put on staff that has outreach to particular ethnic communities. And, we all continue to do that. How do we get the word out to people? That's a challenge for, there's very little print media left, and so we're all looking at different ways. And now I guess we just do Twitter to talk to the president. I mean, since Saturday Night Live seems to be prescient about what's going to happen in the next week, I suppose we should all go on Twitter so that the president-elect can pick up our ideas and share them with the world.
Can I ask you?
That was last week's show. Why not? They've been right all along.
Can I ask you another question? You sort of stirred my imagination with your reference to Trump. What do you expect for Montgomery County? Do you expect changes with the Trump administration in the county at all? And maybe the economy? Do you expect any changes with the local economy?
Well, the one thing I'm very concerned about is, as you know, he says random things. So it's hard to, and I don't really believe anything that he says. So there's a credibility problem with this president-elect. But assuming that they do freeze federal employment, change the merit system rules, that could have changed the retirement arrangements with federal employees. That could have quite significant implications for Montgomery County residents. A lot of our people work for the feds. So we're really concerned. I'm concerned about that. Is that real? Who knows? To the extent that, the thing of it is, though, to the extent that you that you reduce government, you actually spend more money on federal contracting. So to the extent that that increases federal contracting, that could be good for the contractors. So there may be some advantages to all of that. But the regular people who work for the federal government, I think, are very concerned about their employment. Apparently, the idea is to freeze federal employment and to I think reducing regulation is a whole world of work for lobbyists, so that's good for the lobbying community. I think there'll be a lot more of that sort of thing going on. But for the regular employee, I am concerned.
When you preceded by saying that, but he says random things and you don't know, is that to say that you really don't know what to expect?
Yeah. Yeah, I am. have a personal view about all this.
What are you gonna miss most about being president, and who's gonna be the next vice president?
Well, it's a great opportunity to meet with you all on a Monday morning basis. I mean, I enjoy. I've enjoyed being able to work with my colleagues this way. This year, it's a somewhat different relationship. Who's going to be the next vice president? Well, stay tuned. Tomorrow's coming up.
Sorry, I just got this email. Apparently they're gonna move the community hardware store in Bethesda, or propose it, to make room for the Apex building reconstruction. Do you know anything about that? The store, community hardware store, you know that little store next to the
Yeah, there's been some talk about how that might happen.
Okay, do you know anything other than that?
No, no.
Is that a historic building?
It's a historic function. I'm not sure about whether it's and I think the facade was the part that was designated, but I don't remember all the details. But we won't be getting to Bethesda till the end of January, so that's quite a long time before we'd start working on it in committee. We'll finish Laytonsville. We'll see. I hope tomorrow, and then we'll get to Bethesda in January, end of January.
So I just got an email that Strathmore's announcing a build-out to the music center. Are you aware of that? $10 million?
Oh, you mean their elevator plan? I mean their escalator plan.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's been on the table for some time. They were been looking for state funds to support that, you know, when they designed Strathmore, I mean, I was here. They value engineered out an escalator that's designed to take people from the upper level down to the main floor. And there have been a lot of complaints about that for a long time because you have to take an elevator. If you're disabled or limited in your movement, you have to get in line for an elevator. So there's been for a long time, there's been a demand for something like that to be reintroduced to the building. So that's their effort there. Yeah. But it's not. I believe that they went to the. They've been before the governor for a number of years to start getting that going.
Is there anything new to report on Westgard? And is that on track?
Well, we're done. Our part in that is done.
No showstoppers.
No. You know, there's a community that feels that they were unhappy with the ultimate result, but the council's work and all that is complete.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And any updates on the bus depot? I asked you that.
That's county executive. Ask them.
They said something's happening this month, so.
They said what?
The last I heard from them, they said something was happening this month. So, but you guys.
Well, it's only December 5th. Just the beginning of the month. Yeah.
Nothing on the schedule.
I am unaware of it. Well, thank you very much. And as you know, you always can give me a call, and I'm happy to answer your questions. Thank you.